Alright, little update here on the Derp ATV project. First things first, decided to do a little bit of pressure checking here on the tires and rims. I really didn't do that when I first assembled them. So 3 out of 4, there was a couple of pinhole leaks, actually just one pinhole leak per tire. That was bad. And it was really weird too, it was all on the same side of the rim, so I'm wondering if during the assembly process the silicone shifted to the point that that little pinhole just didn't get enough silicone for a proper seal. So I ended up just loosening these bolts up, prying it open and then injecting some silicone. So I'm going to try it out tomorrow. Hopefully that'll correct the issue. There's the issue on that one. And it was actually, the pinhole leak was enough that you can actually hear the air hissing out. And down that way. So with that too, from a leakage standpoint, I had a couple other leaks that I was doing during pressure testing. I was actually leaking air out this weld here on the inner tube where the air coupler mounts up. So it was, it wasn't enough that you could hear it hiss, but if you just sprayed soapy water on there, you could actually see it bubbling up through there. So I did a double pass on that, so hopefully that corrected that issue. Once again, 3 out of 4, so my QC's not working out too good, but it's a prototype. And I do have videos of assembling those things. I just like to give you guys these updates from a 30,000 foot view standpoint before getting into the nitty-gritty details. I am happy to say that the O-ring interface worked out great. That was holding air just fine. So there was no issues from the weld distortion on that hub plate. Air couplers are pretty much assembled, ready to go. The only issue I had on my first one that I welded was there was just once again another pinhole leak going on. So corrected that with a double pass. All the other welds on these I did overlaps on the transitions. And then I also pretty much did some pretty, material heavy welds, not just a stringer bead. Actual, what do you call it, where you kind of swoop it back and forth, that type of deal. So, these are just your standard Sherp air couplers. It's just 3 radial lip seals, or oil seals is what you can call them too, and then 2 bearings. So this piece will be stationary, and then of course that tube that you saw back there will slip through here, and then that will be coupling the air and making sure nothing leaks while the axle rotates. The Derp now has a roof, so it's nice and weather tight on the roof standpoint. I'm not gonna lie, I think I underestimated how many damn rivets this thing is gonna need, and a lot of sealant too. I'm gonna have to order another case of sealant. I do have kind of a partial video of me putting some of this stuff together, but a lot of it is, once you understand how to do it the first time, then it kind of just, it's easy to do after that. It's just very menial work. A lot of hole drilling, marking and measuring, sealing and riveting. So I ended up using a polyurethane adhesive sealant. So I did a test first, and even by itself, it holds pretty firm. Once again, skinned up there. Another thing I kind of changed up here, I was originally, for my fuel fill neck, I was going to come out the top and then have like a rubber hose that kind of came out through the cab and just like bolted up somewhere up there. But that ended up being a little complicated for my taste. Plus, with the whole the whole idea of making this thing like a Ford pickup or something, or just any standard pickup, where the cab can be unbolted and lifted off. It's just one less thing to worry about if you do that. So this got reconverted into the return port for the diesel pump. So on the auxiliary fuel tank, I just welded a 2-inch MPT nipple, and then it's got a Ford fuel cap on there. So no fancy thread. They're pretty nice units. They're kind of expensive. I think these were $13 a piece on eBay, but they're really heavy duty. I like them. Nice bronze construction. It's got the built-in breather and then a gasketing seal on it as well. We can go over here, you can see the same on the back side. So that was the auxiliary tank, the 7-gallon auxiliary. And back here, the 2 rear tanks. You know, I was actually thinking the other day too, that auxiliary tank up there, if a guy didn't want to run diesel, he could use it as a hydraulic reservoir. The only downside is you're going to be putting a lot of heat up there in the cabin, especially if you're running a pretty big pump. But yeah, let me get this thing threaded on there. There you go. So, just some small minor details there. I was able to mount these rims and tires up as well, just trying to do a test. And unfortunately, it was just bare the sidewall. Once you balloon these out with pressure, these things are really wide. They're like 26 inches wide, if not a little bit more than that. So I didn't add much clearance here to begin with, so it was just barely scraping the studs, and I just kind of cut these off. So hopefully that will solve my problem there. If not, I put enough meat on the threads of my lug studs to put it like a spacer plate, like a 1/2-inch spacer if I need to. The only thing I'm worried about is I'm already almost maxed out on my legal width. So hopefully, yeah, if I want to move this thing around, the state troopers kind of avoid me because I don't want to be over my 102-inch width limit there. Which in my opinion is kind of archaic, you know, it probably goes back to the Roman times. The width of 2 horse asses or whatever that story is. Moving up to the roof, you can kind of see all the rivets. It's just a very time-consuming process, but it had to get done. It'd be kind of nice, actually. I'm looking at like all this real estate, like a roof rack, and you could almost, I bet you could fit an inflatable boat up here, no problem. And I'm sure the Russians do it too, the oligarchs and their sherps. Yeah, sealed up. Really nothing fancy. Rivets and seals. I'm kind of happy I'm glad I kind of chose the 16 gauge aluminum. It's nice and durable. I mean, you can like walk up on the roof. Here, let me pop open the hatch here. So on the inside you can kind of see I was a little overzealous with the sealant. But I figured it's better safe than sorry. So I did end up changing from a double quarter turn to just a single because at the end of the day I found out that's really all I need and it's just less moving parts and it's easier to operate. So this is kind of like a redneck special, but actually it ends up working pretty good. So you can kind of see the action there. Clamps down a little bit. So yeah, we can kind of kick this thing open here. You can kind of take a look at the roof. Actually, we can go up on the roof, I think. Just kind of walk up on here. So yeah, it's actually durable enough. If I get up on here. To actually stand on, which is pretty cool. It's a very tall machine, so definitely be a good little, if you put like a pop-up tent or something too. It's a lot of real estate that you can utilize up here, that's for sure. You can go down now. Definitely need some safety handles or something, or grab irons if you want easy ingress up into the roof. So there we go. You can kind of see the action there. Nice and sealed up on the bulb seal. It might be a little too tight, but we'll see how it lives. Might have to change seal types maybe to more of a more durable, harder rubber seal or something. But we'll see how the bulb seal lives. Walking inside here, you can kind of see it's very spacious. Everything's nice and watertight there, hopefully. As we get a big rainstorm, we've kind of been in a drought for a while. See how it lives from a water standpoint. So yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it's just a lot of small stuff, but yep.